So I guess, you know, what I'm saying is hiding what there was talking about. The Most High can prick whatever political leader is in charge to set it up, even if it's in the form of us coming into these internment or concentration camps, of us not conceding to whatever agenda they put forth because it goes against our Torah laws. So that can be a way of us just being gathered, and only those who are really in tune with the Most High are going to understand and acknowledge and recognize, you know, this has to happen because this is a part of the salvation.
So my point is back to this, but to cap off what he just said and Gerald said, basically he's just saying, like Gerald said it, he could be like Putin, for example. Cyrus is in that role. But back to what Marah is trying to convey from what those brothers were saying, just remember the point that was before this slide, that Karash is the actual word for what they said is Cyrus, and Karash is saying it could mean Israel. So that's the point of what Isaiah is saying, because Ezra is talking about Cyrus, the actual king. But Isaiah, he's going to a mistranslation of the word is what he's trying to point out.
Right.
So what made them use Cyrus?
Because they don't know.
No.
So
That's translation.
hold your horses, because I'm gonna show you what made them use Cyrus. Hold your horses. Let's be Bereans and take our time so everyone gets it, not just one or two. We're going to show you what made them use Cyrus. So let's go back to textual criticism. And like Gerald started this off with, you're saying the definition of Messiah means to anoint, but you don't have no witnesses that Cyrus was anointed with oil. Strike one. Now let's continue to use textual criticism on Isaiah 45. It says, whose right hand I have holden. And we went to Amos 3 and 2. You can continue Amos 3. How can two walk together except they agree? Okay, now, this ain't looking like a Persian pagan king. Now let's go some more, right? Highlighted in green, the gates shall not be shut. The gates shall not be shut. That's alluding to kingdoms and borders, no more borders. Do you have any historical sources that say Cyrus' kingdom was open with no borders, no gates? No, because he always had the threat of war. So when all these kings ruled the earth, their kingdoms had gates. So for you, whoever your teacher is, to tell you that this is pointing to Cyrus as a Messiah, show me when Cyrus' kingdom had open gates. Show it to me. Show me your witnesses. Let's get some more, right? Verse 2, Isaiah 45 and 2. Read it out.
I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight.
Bereans, people of Yah, Yaladim Yashar'Allah, children of Israel, in your best guesstimation, what does the Most High mean by make the crooked places straight? He's going to do, get your mic out.
He's going to give the law.
He's going to return law and order. Do you have any records that Cyrus pushed the law on his kingdom? Because Cyrus, they told you that the Persians and all these other nations were sun worshipers. Sun worship didn't just start in Rome. Rome copied off these people. So do you have any sources that Yah made the crooked places straight with Cyrus, restoring law and order?
Essentially during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, they was like, hey, King Cyrus, we want to go over here and do our thing with our Elohim. He was like, all right.
The Most High said, go ahead.
Yeah.
Your God is the righteous God. Go ahead. But me and my kingdom, we're still doing our thing.
Yeah.
So if your teacher, your Moradi, your Moradi, your rabbi, whatever you want to call these super people, if they can't give you sources that the crooked places were made straight, strike two. Slow down. You don't have understanding. You don't know the culture. Let's get some more here, right? Let's read verse 3 again. Isaiah 45 and 3.
I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which call thee by thy name, am the God of Israel.
So how long was we in this captivity, family? Y'all know? Y'all remember?
Which one?
This
Babylon?
the Babylonian Persian captivity.
70 years,
70 years.
supposedly.
70 years. The Persians took over the Babylonian kingdom, meaning the Babylon ran the world. So now Persia is its turn to run the world. What treasures of darkness and hidden riches do you need?
You have them all.
You have the world. So why do you, this does not add up to Persia, to Cyrus. You are already controlling the world. Now, let's put this in context. Read it again, verse 3 and 4 together.
And I will give thee, can I say something about this too? This right here is the Exodus again. This is the Exodus. Because the reason why I say that, I will go before thee. Who went before us in the Exodus? Cloud by day, fire by night, and make the crooked way straight. He laid out all the enemies, so we just came through, did cleanup work. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut asunder the bars of iron. We had no trouble with the other nations after a while because he
That's
went.
all I've been saying. This is just a rerun.
And
This
then
is just a rerun.
and
fam.
continue, I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places. Egypt came in and gave us all the great abundance, great substance. And thou may knowest that I, Yahweh, will call thee by thy name and am the God of Israel. When we got into the wilderness, we were established as a people. For Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee that though thou hast not known me.
Verse 3 and 4, where's the correlation? This don't make sense if it's talking about Cyrus.
Absolutely not.
This verse 3 and 4 doesn't make sense if it's talking about Cyrus. I'm going to give you the hidden treasures. You already running the world, Cyrus. And then I'm going to give you the treasures of the world for Jacob's, my servant's sake. How are we going to benefit from Cyrus having the world?
When you look at this, keeping it in context, that the things of the spirit are not discerned by the carnal. When you read 2, 3, and 4 together, and I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that's the Most High. As far as like verse 2, he's going to establish the law again, break in pieces the gates of brass, cut in sunder the bars of iron. He's going to free us from the spiritual bondage of sin by reestablishing the law and the covenant and give us the hidden riches and secret places, literally his word.
Yeah, it's in their little, I hate to use their terms because their Greco-Roman seminary terms are adulterations to me. But this would be a dual prophecy if you understand. Nariah is now giving us the spiritual aspect.
So with that, we know he ain't talking to Cyrus because Cyrus ain't Yasharallah.
He's not Yasharallah. You're not following the laws of Yah. You're following the laws of Persia.
And who did he say had not known him when we was in Egypt? Like I was just bringing out, they didn't know. They didn't have an experience with the Most High.
Exactly. So again, just to recap, this in context, using textual criticism, this doesn't make sense. It has no correlation to the king of Persia. He already has the world. He's one of those beasts that Daniel's seen. So he already has the world. Now, why I'm going to give you more stuff for Jacob's sake? Can you make this make sense?
I'm going to give Cyrus, the king of Persia, the hidden treasures of the world for my servant Israel's sake, Jacob's sake, which is the son of Isaac and Abraham.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense, family. Now, textual criticism. Y'all do remember, if you haven't heard or don't remember, y'all know these chapters and verses are not natural. These chapter breaks and these verses only came about in like the 1500s or 1600s by a pagan. And sometimes he broke it sometimes he broke these so-called chapters perfectly. How it should have. The topic changed or the subject changed. A lot of times he didn't. Y'all remember when Hamashiach stood up in the temple and he said he read from the Isaiah scroll? It didn't say he went to chapter and verse. He found the place where it was written. So these chapter breaks, they're helpful for us slaves now, but you still gotta sometimes back up to get the context. Remember that? Now let's back up to Isaiah 44. That's why I had you stop at verse 21 this morning. Let's read Isaiah 44, starting at verse 24, and just keep in mind, chapter 45, he just continues writing. We don't know if he wrote the same day. How the scribes work, family, when the Most High starts talking to them, they'll write it down as soon as I'm taking some liberty here, I don't know for sure. But Isaiah didn't write his whole scroll in no one day, in no 1 month. He tells you, this is the word I heard from Yah through periods, and he give you the kings during the periods he heard this word from Yah.
It would be in our sense to say, I Shamar Yah on the day, pagan day of April 29th,
Right.
2000 and such.
They just didn't stop and tell you what day they stopped this portion, and I picked back up on this day. They didn't do that. So they would just write some of their scroll, and then if Yah gave them more word, they'll pick up where they left off at. So when we get to chapter 45, it's not a new year, it's not a new month. You don't know what it is. It's just a continuation of him getting more word from Yah. Does that make sense? Now, let's back up to Isaiah 44, and let's pick it up at verse 24, and we're going to continue on to the 45 again.
Thus saith the Lord, thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself, that frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh diviners mad.
Soothsayers, witch workers, sorcerers,
that turneth wise men backward, and maketh their knowledge foolish.
So that's why pastors Geno Jennings and T.D. Jakes, and now some of these Israelite pastors, your knowledge is foolish because you're not walking with Yah. You're rejecting Messiah. You're still using Jesus. You're not. For you to be intimate with a person, you first got to know their name. If you don't understand that J-E-S-U-S is a pagan deity, you're not walking with our King. He's making your knowledge foolish. Read on.
That confirmeth the word of his servant, and performeth the counsel of his messengers, that saith to Jerusalem, thou shalt be inhabited, and to the cities of Judah, ye shall be built, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof. Thus saith to the deep, or was that?
That saith to the deep.
That saith to the deep, be dry, and I will dry up thy rivers.
What we're seeing on the news today, babe?
They're drying up the rivers in
Was it Arizona somewhere? Their water tables is low.
real low.
This is Yah doing this for our purpose. Get your house in order. Stop making excuses why you can't give up fornication, why you can't give up pornography, why you can't give up swine, why you can't keep it Sabbath. Stop making excuses, because I'm giving you signs, and when I come, you have no excuse. You're going to be killed just like the Gentiles. You are gods, you are Elohim, but you're going to die like men.
In the Septuagint, verse 26.
Stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Not yet. Oh, I got snipers on all walls. That's how we are. That's brothers. But once we get more God, you can't come against what we're teaching. We're teaching from God. That's why they can't stop what we're doing. He didn't know what he was going to teach.
That saith of Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure.
Stop. Verse 28, that saith of Cyrus or Karash, he is my shepherd. Now, Neviah, before you go to your point, let's go to this verse in the Septuagint. For those who are not initiated or not familiar, that LXX is Roman numerals for 70. We use that for It's 50 and 10 is 20. 50 and 20 is 70.
That's what the book is called.
Right. So this is I'm pointing to the Septuagint. L is 50, 2 X's makes 20. Let's go to the Septuagint and let's read verse 28, Neviah, in the Septuagint.
Verse 28 of Isaiah 44, who bids Cyrus to be wise and he shall perform all my will, who says to
Stop,
Jerusalem.
don't read that part. So boy, read the top again and you right on his heels.
You want the Septuagint one?
You read the KJV and Nariah's gonna follow you right on your heels.
That saith of Cyrus, he is my shepherd.
He is my shepherd. What is saying Septuagint?
Who bids Cyrus be wise.
You see the difference? The Septuagint, which was written 1,000 years before your little KJV, says, who says of Cyrus, he's going to do my bidding, he is wise. It don't say Cyrus is my shepherd. Shepherd is only native to Israelite talk. He's sending us shepherds. We are his sheep of his pasture. So that's why all of you who are not regulars or don't come on, get you a Septuagint. It unlocks all these adulterations. So that's another one.
Hold on.
That we got adulterated. Isaiah, I'm up to like over 60 now when I add the ones from Yashiyah. Isaiah 44 and 28 is adulterated. Cyrus is not his shepherd. He's going to make Cyrus wise to do his bidding.
I wanted to see if your point, are you saying that this is Cyrus the person?
Yes, this is talking of the king.
Okay.
Now this is making, that's why I wanted y'all to stop so we can see the difference. Verse 28 is speaking of the king of Persia, but he's saying, you're not my shepherd. I'm going to make you wise to do my bidding.
Like he would soften or harden
the heart of Pharaoh.
Right.
You see the correlation here. Am I making this up?
No.
Am I indoctrinating?
And two, the reason why you know it's true or prophecy is true because it came true. So it says, do you want me to continue?
Now let's continue the verse.
It says, even saying to Jerusalem, my people, thou shalt be built, and to thy temple thy foundation be laid. So basically he says to Jerusalem, go home and go rebuild your land, rebuild your temple.
Now, this is the end of chapter 44, according to this man's chapter phrase. But let's continue. Let's go back to 45. Now continue reading.
Me or?
It don't matter. No, not the KJV part.
Okay, I'll read the KJV part then. Thus saith the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus.
You see how that don't make sense? You just was you gave your piece to Cyrus. What did he say of Cyrus, Nariah?
Who bids Cyrus be wise, and he shall perform all my will.
So you just was talking about Cyrus, then you switched to Jerusalem, and now you're coming back to Cyrus again?
And
that don't make sense. You would say all you had to say about Cyrus in one complete thought. Are y'all seeing that?
100%. And it makes sense as to why a pagan doing a translation, if they saw Karash as Cyrus, but then they had Karash or Kashar again, they would say, oh, well, this word I just translated as Cyrus, so let me put Cyrus here again. Right. But this level of studying, the Most High is only having certain people. We were talking about it to you. I told you to you. I told him, and then he said the same thing to me. This is not no bragging or not, any of that. This is just the honest truth.
You got to come to I want the truth. I don't care who bring it out. You can bring it out from a baby. I want the truth.
I'm just not seeing. I'm just gonna speak for Shamaria. This is just for me, Nariah. Then you can speak for yourself. I watch and study a lot of people, a lot of teachings, and I don't get that level of study from what I see online. And this ain't even this, because this is going into the criticism of the text itself. Right. And a lot of people, they bring out great things, but it's like only what's on the page is a matter of fact.
Right.
When we got to understand that what you're saying behind enemy lines, these words have been translated and mistranslated and moved throughout thousands of years. So, just speaking for myself, this is deep right here. And this is really like, if it was to be into a debate, which, you know what I'm saying, doesn't make sense to do. But if it was in a debate, the witnesses would speak for itself that he can't be talking about the King Cyrus here when he just finished his complete thought on the prophecy. And you know it's true because it came true.
It happened. He gave his statement about Cyrus. Cyrus, I'm going to make you wise, and you're going to do my pleasure. And then what's my pleasure? Jerusalem shall be built. Did y'all? He said you're going to do my pleasure. Let's go back.
Yeah. Yep. And then yeah.
So in the Septuagint, you know, if we want to use this language, the grammatical like pieces, I'm just going to read it and then I'm just going to bring it out for people that might not necessarily be able to see it physically in the Britain book that I have. Verse 28 of chapter 44, Isaiah, and in the Britain Septuagint again, it says, who bid Cyrus be wise, and he shall perform all my will, colon.
You see that?
That means that he's stopping that and going into
to another thought. So Cyrus, I'm going to give you some wisdom. You're going to have a thought. You're going to do my will, my pleasure. Then he tells you what the Most High's pleasure is. What he say? Even saying to Jerusalem.
Read it in yours real quick. Read it.
So who bids Cyrus be wise, and he shall perform all my will, colon, who says to Jerusalem.
Read that again. Who says
to Jerusalem?
Who says to Jerusalem, you shall be built, and I will lay the foundation of my holy house.
So that prophecy just happened in.
That's what Ezra opened up with.
Ezra 1.
Thus saith Cyrus to the people of Israel, to the people. Man, we'll be here all day. Go back and read Ezra. Cyrus speaks to Jerusalem. Who are the people of God, the children of God here, or the children of the Most High desires to go back home? Go back home, and here's your goal. So you don't have textual criticism. You don't have to understand it. Talking about Cyrus is the Messiah here.
Gerald, go ahead.
Yeah, and like you were saying, Shabari, I like this level of research, because clearly now, I mean, without even just from the spirit of debate, just being students and Bereans and going deeper, uncovering this, because like I said, at one point, we all believed that text to be what it said. We all, even after waking it up, we've all up to this point believed that text to mean what it said. But when it just goes to show, when you're doing more research.
Let me stop you there. I want to be fair to these brothers. Let me be fair to these brothers. I too, until I watch their video, and I'm asking the Most High, like, Most High. So I want to say this without condescending to them. But these false teachers are doing some good by getting exposed. Because up until I seen their class, I too thought Cyrus was being called a Messiah for us. So I don't want y'all to think that I've been seeing this. The Most High just gave this to me this past week watching their video. So I don't want to puff myself up like, oh yeah, no. I'm constantly on top. So
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We all.
Go ahead, Gerald.
Oh, go ahead. But yeah, that's to wrap up what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, we've all up to this point, as of recent, saw that the same way that even Christians see it. But it goes to show, when you're a Berean, and this ain't New Testaments. This is something in Torah, they would say. So even for the Old Testament only people, this is one that they probably still going off of, being misled, because they don't understand textual criticism. So even when it comes to your Torah, or the Genesis through Malachi, you still gotta be Bereans in that.
And you
It's the
see,
same.
you want some mushrooms or something this week.
What you say?
Because you're calling yourself Torah only, Tanakh only. Y'all better leave that New Testament alone. You don't even understand the Torah, the Tanakh. You understand that? Gerald, boy, you're knocking out the park today, brother.
And what I wanted to say too is that I didn't mean like
that vacation did it good. See, this that vacation did you so good, girl.
Some of that Mexican water. But no, all seriousness though, what I mean is like how we've been fellowshipping together, and we've been discovering the gifts that the Most High is giving to different people,
Right.
such as myself. Then we heard about Nariah, his fire, his light.
Right.
And then we're starting to say maybe too this eye that you have. It ain't something like we just coming up saying Nariah, he got the gift. No, we're saying, well, I don't know. We're seeing him. We're seeing him in practice do these things. So what I mean to say is, in practice, what I've seen from Marah, and that's why I asked you this question last night. I asked Marah about his journey to getting to this point. And what I saw when he was explaining his journey about 20 years of studying on and off, this is the mantle that the Most High has given you.
Right.
I couldn't do what you're doing.
Right.
My role is different than your role.
Right.
And I'm now then my personal opinion from observation and being around the whole Hebrew community, I've not personally seen someone who says they have the mantle of teaching actually receive revelations consistently like this from the Most High and be able to put it in a package that I can receive. I can't speak for
Time.
somebody else is receiving.
I give all praise and honor. I hear you, Montel, but I give all honor and praise. Zamaria. I give all praise and honor to the Most High, but I felt like Nariah. I'm like, because remember how Nariah pointed out the moon phases was off?
Mhm.
When I seen this, the Most High, I'm at work. I'm at work multitasking, doing my pagan job, and I got tabs up, and I'm like, wait a minute. So when I vet, and we ain't done yet, we about to go deeper to make it clear for everybody. So everyone ain't gonna say it's just the Torah group. We're about to show you this correlation, but I felt like Nariah. I'm like, man, this is something Nariah be bringing out, like his keen eye and insight. Go ahead, Zamaria.
Nah, I was just agreeing with what Shamaria was saying, man. I definitely haven't been around a teacher that has insight and revelation the way that the Ruach of the Most High gives to you, man. And it just comes across so clear, and it's helped me in the process of studying. Like I read the word with a different lens, man. This word is really alive now. And, I know a lot of that is because of the Most High, but He used you. So, I concur. Definitely, that's a big con with Shamaria, what he was saying.
Shalaka, and I'm gonna land me back that and say the same thing, and just to say it goes to show just why the wisdom in listening to elders. Like, you ain't much older than some of us, but your years in doing this, you can see the wisdom of your work and the fruits and how the Most High is using you. We'd be a fool for one of us to get hardy and feel like, we know more than you or whatever. And great, and granted, you give it to the Most High what you're supposed to, but you put in way more work than a lot of us when it comes to this awakening. So it only makes sense. It will look. It will only make sense. It will only make sense that because that's how it works. Like, even when I compare, not that I do it all the time, but just in practicality, for somebody that's new to this, can't hold a candle to some of the stuff I know. But then in turn, I can't hold a candle to some of the stuff that Shamaria said to me. And then in turn, he can't hold a candle to your. So I mean, it just goes to show that when you understand wisdom, is modesty and humility. Humility, not thinking more of yourself than necessary, and then modesty, knowing your place. Just knowing your place. And it's a package deal. They both go together. And it's like these teachers, man, they they get this awakening, and then they become hardy, and they don't know their place, and they not humble, and it easily happens to everybody, man. So it's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful thing to be amongst a small group like this that ain't trying to claim to be nobody, that ain't trying to be a part of no 501c3, but just Bereans, and they understand, and they're allowing the Most High to use them. That's a beautiful thing, man.
Real quick,